Today on the Jessica Rector Show. 90% of women at one time in their life is going to be financially responsible for themselves.
And one day my daughter said, you know, Mom, you really need to think about who you were before I came along.
And I know there's a lady sitting out there listening going, but I have no idea where to start. I have no idea what talents I have. I have no idea what kind of work I can do. I have been consumed with my husband and kids all these years. If you like my look, stay tuned and I'll tell you how to get it. Ladies out there, grab your sister, grab your mom, grab your girlfriend. You need to watch the show. 10, 20 years ago, women who were going through a divorce, whose kids left the house, thought that life as they knew it was over. Well, now women are reinventing themselves and are beginning to live a second life. Please welcome my guest today, Gina Roberts. Thank you for being here, Gina.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me about the events that led up to your second life or your having to reinvent yourself.
Well, some of them are not very great, but I'm sure they all have a purpose. I was married in my early 20s and I had 2 children, was a stay-at-home mom and professional volunteer for years. When that didn't work out, I went to work in a career that, you know, paid the bills but enabled me to still be home with my kids in the afternoons. I remarried a second time and was able to be a stay-at-home wife again, and went back to being a professional volunteer, and that was great fun and a wonderful way to give back to the community and stay involved. But when that didn't work out, I went back to work, went to just pay the bills. It wasn't a reinvention, it wasn't a passion, it was just pay the bills.
Right.
And my children grew up and left home and went to college and started families of their own. And one day my daughter said, you know, Mom, you really need to think about who you were before I came along. You need to remember what made you happy, what you enjoyed, and what your dreams were, and pursue those. This is a good time to think about that because I'm gone and Adam's gone and you've got time. So think about it and please stop making me the focus of your life.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of an eye-opening moment. And
was that kind of a shock to you whenever she said that?
Sure, and you know, it hurts a little bit because you want to be there for your children and you want to be number one, but you also understand that eventually you're going to get moved down the line.
Right.
As they get boyfriends and husbands and other people in their lives.
Right.
You have to take a back seat, and I understood that. And it was kind of a slap in the face, but it was a good slap in that it woke me up and made me stop and think. Unfortunately, it took me a long time to remember what I used to love. What did I used to do? Wow.
Well, because also you were a lot younger back then,
Yeah.
and so I mean, a lot's happened. So it may take some time to get there.
A lot of time, a few pounds, a few wrinkles. But I remember that I used to do some modeling, and I used to act, and I used to perform. And so I tried to get back into that, and at that time there was quite a bit of work around Texas. So I did some extra roles, and I did a few things in some local movies, and that was fun. But it certainly, you know, is not a career, and it's not going to pay the bills.
Right.
So I had the opportunity a year and a half ago to be on a reality show, and I had not given it any thought, but it was a mother-daughter beauty pageant and reality show in one. And the beauty pageant part was scary, but the mother-daughter part was intriguing. So I immediately called my daughter and said, we have to do this. And she said, well, you're nuts. I said, well, I might be, and we might not get any further than the first call, but let's just try and submit the info and see if maybe we could be considered. She goes, well, okay, but I think this is a big mistake. So we did, and we were considered, and long story short, we got on the show. And it all happened within about 6 weeks from the day of until they flew us to California. And she lives in New York City, so I only get to see her about every 3 or 4 months. And she's been gone from home for over 8 years. So just the chance to spend time with her was great. Unfortunately, it was not the greatest experience of our lives,
Right.
mainly because of living in a house with a bunch of very diverse people that had very different values and very different backgrounds.
Right.
So that part was terrible. Working with her and performing and achieving success at the challenges was fantastic. And what eventually came out of that was we got enormous praise for public speaking, for interview skills, for presentation, and it reawakened a part of me that I remembered I loved.
Right.
I've enjoyed talking to people all my life. I don't have a fear of crowds. I don't have a fear of public speaking. And it reminded me that I can give back in lots of different ways. Back to the days of being a volunteer, I could find some organizations that probably don't have a speakers forum
Right.
within their organization, but they might need someone to be a face and a voice of their company. So that's what I'm pursuing now, and it's slow going.
One step at a time,
That's
just like
right.
anything.
That's right.
So what do you suggest for women, say someone's going through a similar situation that you had when your sister said, your daughter said that to you. What do you recommend for those people? Okay, maybe their daughter's not going to say that. So what do you say to them for them to get to the point that you got to? What do they need to think about? Because you said you thought about when you were younger. Well, how do you begin to think of that? Especially if it's so many years ago.
Yeah, it's really tough. I think the first step is to literally sit yourself down and remember who you were when you were 14, 16, 18, 20 years old. Who did you idolize? What did you dream of being? Where did you want to be when you grew up? And for a lot of us, I thought it was going to come to me. And so I didn't pursue it as hard and as diligently as I should have. And so it didn't come to me. And I had to make do. But a second part of that is let go of your preconceived notions or what society has told you you need to be at this stage of your life. I mean, I'm 50. And I'm really looking at this as the second half of my life. Knock on wood, I'm the healthiest person I know. And so I feel like I've got another 50 years in me. And I have the chance now to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, because unfortunately I'm pretty sure I'm grown up now. And I need to figure out who I am. So I'm going to stop thinking that I'm only a wife and only a mother and only a 50-year-old woman who should conceivably be wearing matching sweater vests and skirts and, be 50 pounds overweight and be waiting for retirement. That's not in me.
Right.
And, I always be age appropriate and act according to your age and what is, proper and good.
But is there anything that you feel that you can't do? Because I remember when I turned 30, people were like, oh, you're 30 now. And I'm like, but that's just an age to me.
Right.
I felt like I could still do anything that a 15-year-old could do. So, I don't know if that changes whenever you reach 50 and you're like, okay, well now, do you put limitations on yourself? Because I don't put limitations on myself. Although my age is, younger than yours, but I don't know if that changes.
The only limitations I would ever put on myself would be in a proprietary way, in what is proper, is what I meant to say. I have always held one tenet in front of me, and everything I've done is, would this embarrass my children? So I would never do anything that I think, well, I can't say that. I would hope to never do anything that would embarrass my children or be age inappropriate for me.
Right.
I was raised by a very proper, educated, wonderful woman who had very strong rules of how a lady should behave. And so, and I'm a Christian, and I am a member of this community, and I have to wake up every day and face myself in the mirror, and I have to face my friends and family.
Right.
So, no, I wouldn't put limitations on myself in terms of I can no longer do that, I'm too old.
Right.
I just wouldn't do that because it's inappropriate for
or
someone.
It's not appealing to you.
Exactly,
right.
exactly.
So what do you suggest to women who may not be financially secure? Maybe they're getting out of a divorce and they want to start over. They want to find what their passion is. They want to live their life to the fullest, but maybe their finances are not what they're used to because they were once married.